Okay.
All right, Race First family, greetings. Tonight is November 19th, 2024. Time is 8:11. This will be session 5 of our UNIA-ACL Division 421 Officers Training hosted by Dr. Julius Nairi, CBPM Division. Desiree. Please keep your lines muted, everyone, if you're not speaking. Please keep your line muted. Okay, first and foremost, as always, we like to open with our pledge. We will be led by our recording secretary, Brother Art. Brother Art, you have the floor.
Okay, race first, family. Everybody put your right fist in the air and repeat after me.
And come off
I
mute.
commit my body. Oh, okay.
Tell everybody else come off mute. Go ahead, Brother Art.
Come off mute, family. Everybody repeat after me. I commit my body, mind, and spirit.
I commit my body
to the protection, defense, and security
to the protection, defense,
and security
of the red, black, and green.
Of the red, black, and green.
I dedicate my life to the redemption of Mother Africa and her liberation of her scattered Black children.
I dedicate my life to the redemption of Mother
Africa,
the liberation
of her scattered
Black children.
I accept for myself and my descendants.
I accept for myself and
my descendants the teachings of universal African nationalism.
The teachings of universal African
nationalism. And I promise that our children will be instilled with the purpose and knowledge of themselves as African people.
And I promise that our children will be instilled with purpose and knowledge
of themselves of African people.
In order that the cause of our struggle will neither falter nor fail.
In order that the cause of our struggle will neither falter nor fail.
And with
until all Black people are free and united.
Until all
God,
Black people
are free and united through one God.
United through one God.
One
destiny. Yeah.
Race first.
Right, race first.
Race first.
Thank you, Brother Art. All right. So, without any further ado, we will. Well, any questions before we jump into the assigned questions for lesson 3?
Can somebody send Brother Marcus in Washington State the link so we can get in the class?
I don't have Brother Washington's. Brother
Marcus. I mean, Marcus. He's in Washington State. I don't know that. I know he's under the New York thing, but he was in this orientation last time.
Well, this is specific. This is hosted by Atlanta. We do open it up to the other divisions, but it's not required for other divisions.
Okay. All right. I'll let him know.
Okay. No questions on lesson 3, everybody. We ready to answer these questions quickly and get to the reading for lesson 4. Okay. Okay. So lesson 3, aims and objects. Fundamental, to say the least. When we talk about what the UNIA is, when we talk about going out to the community to recruit or encourage our brothers and sisters to become active members, our ability to articulate the aims and objects will be of great benefit in that journey. When people ask, what does the UNIA stand for? Aims and objects is a great response. Preamble is a great response as well. But these aims and objects, in my mind, should be committed to memory. So with Let's just get started. What is the first aim and object of the UNIA?
The first aim and object of the UNIA is to establish a universal confraternity amongst the race.
And what does that mean to us as officers of the UNIA and leaders in the UNIA?
To have our focus, we have our goal and our focus, and what's our agenda.
Goal, focus, agenda. What does universal confraternity among the race mean?
Race first.
Race first.
It's an expansive, uplifting, and friendly society for the benefit of all mankind. Race first.
Race first. Thank you, Dr. Shams. Anyone have more details on? If someone asks you, a new member says, "Hey, I heard that y'all's first aim is a universal confraternity." How would we explain that to a new member?
I'd say that every Negro in the world should be a member or is a member, and we should all be united.
That's very good, brother. That's very good, brother Art. One question that we've talked about in the past is not necessarily laid out. This is kind of going outside of the text at this point, but with the term confraternity, in a typical fraternity, there would be requirements or qualifications of membership and of leadership. Does the UNIA have any qualifications for membership and or leadership?
There's only one.
Which is?
You must be Black. And you can't have a spouse outside of the race.
Yes, sir. Absolutely, per Constitution. Now, let's take it a
Yes,
step.
I like that one. I like that.
Yeah, thank you, Sister Desiree. Let's take it a step further. What are the requirements are there any, or should there be any requirements for leadership in the UNIA outside of being Black?
Yeah, I believe there should be. I don't know if there are, but I believe that. I believe that it should go on, merit, character, and actually, being able to answer those questions. And it should roll off your tongue when the questions are asked upon you.
Yes, I like that, Sister Desiree. I agree. Anyone else want to briefly speak to that before I'll give my response, and then we'll go to the answer and then go to the next question.
Race first.
Dr. Shams?
Yeah, race first.
One second, Sister. I heard Dr. Shams first, then we'll come right back to you.
A leader of the UNIA should have skills, talents, and intelligence with respect to all other people.
Okay, I understand, Dr. Shams. The Queen.
Yeah, race first. We should have respect for our people, our nation, our neighborhood, our people in the communities, and have respect for one another. Race first.
Okay, so we should have respect. Where I was really going was, I guess the term would be rites of passage. Is there anything that a leader should have to go through in order to be a leader in the UNIA?
Yes, of course, because they gotta walk. They gotta walk it like they talk it, And yeah, you have to,
Yes, and basically where I'm going, for our leadership, for the leadership of the UNIA. Qualifications. Let me see. Let's do a little bit of Constitution. Never a bad time for Constitution. Constitution. Here we go. Let's share my screen. So what we're talking about is, in another sense, we're talking about qualifications. So as we speak about the confraternity, on the base level, membership level, African, um, all Africans are a part of the UNIA, are part of this confraternity based on race, based on blood. A step up from that would be active membership. So active members are those that are Africans and also pay their monthly dues. So that is a second level of qualification. In order to be an active member, you must be an African and pay dues. But we're talking about qualifications for leadership. Per our current constitution, the prior to the 2005 amendments, Constitution stated that there were qualifications for high and divisional office. Qualification for candidates for high office of the Universal Negro Improvement Association, African Communities League, and candidates for divisional offices shall be as follows. So these are the qualifications. Registered active membership with all dues paid up. So an active member, African, is paying dues. Shall be a Negro. Obviously, if you're an active member, you're a Negro. Shall be proven to be conscientious to the cause of racial uplift. I think that's fairly subjective, how you prove that. Shall not be married to anyone of alien race. That's very straightforward. Shall be free from criminal conviction. Straightforward. Shall be a reputable moral standing and good education. I would argue that's subjective. And shall undergo, quote, a 6-month course of instruction at any university of Universal Negro Improvement Association. And only when the student graduates that they be allowed to represent the organization, and for a correspondence course of 1 year shall be established for the same purpose. This course shall be extended to all persons of the race who desire to take it. So this is the original 1914, 1918 Constitution qualifications. As of 2005, that was changed, and I would argue diluted quite a bit. Qualifications for candidates for high office as of recently, shall be registered active membership with all dues paid up, African, conscientious, shall to the cause of racial uplift, shall not be married to anyone of alien race, free from criminal conviction. All of that stuff is the same as previous. This is what changed. Shall be a reputable moral standing and good education. I guess that's the same as well. Candidates for high executive office to the UNIA should have a minimum of 2 years of good service at the divisional level. So the requirement for a 6-month training course was replaced with 2 years of good service. And what I'm here to say is locally, we have a requirement of a 6-month course. In order to be an official officer in the Atlanta division, you must complete a 6-month course of African philosophy, as well as completing the exam. But my point is there are requirements for leadership nationally as well as locally. Questions, comments? Okay, so universal confraternity is number one. Where's my, let me get back to the PowerPoint. What is our second aim and object of UNIA? Universal confraternity, also Mr. Garvey says all for one and one for all. So what happens to one of us, until we get to a situation when what happens to one of us affects all of us. That's what we're trying to create through organization. What is the second aim and object?
To prompt the spirit and pride of and love.
To proper spirit of pride and love. Fairly straightforward. How do we articulate that to our people, Brother Art?
It must be a mission of all Negroes to have pride in their race, to think of the race in the highest terms of human living.
Yes, sir, Brother Art. I see you got your book out. That's good. But yes, we're not going to necessarily be reading from the book when we're out in the streets, but we do need to know the information. But at the end of the day, this must be written upon our hearts. And we must live and internalize these principles. It can't just be a reference book. It must be an internalized text. But Mr. Garvey teaches that God didn't make a mistake when he made us by making our noses broad, our lips thick, our hair kinky. This was God's design.
Our lips full.
Semantics. So this was God's design. We should love the creation that we see in the mirror. And we should also love our brothers and sisters that have these same features. But yeah, we have an obligation to love ourselves and to love our people and to promote and to teach that philosophy of love for the African race. Questions, comments? Oh shoot, went too far.
To love our carbon.
Yes. Yep.
Exactly. Yeah. When you look in the mirror and and with that energy, even when you're out there dealing with people in the public, they're gonna feel it, if it's genuine or not. Trust and believe, especially children. Children can actually tell if you're telling the truth or not, until they get corrupted, by some other kind of means. But they can tell, even animals can tell when you're genuine and actually showing that love. So it should be natural. You should naturally have that love. And how you have that love naturally is that you have to be able to look yourself in the mirror and actually love yourself.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. It must be
They call it,
must be genuine.
They call it melanin, which is a Greek word, but it's actually carbon, and it's powerful.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, yeah. I think First Assistant President General's got a book where he pulled from a Garvey quote. The black skin is not a badge of shame, but a symbol of honor.
Honor.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
Just for the record, that's arguably a Marcus Garvey quote.
Oh, it's not official. There's no record of that.
Yeah, that was something that Dr. John Henry Clark claimed Mr. Garvey said, but he didn't cite the source of it. So it's one of those. There's about 10 of them like that we all use. That not definitely a quote, but I mean it fits. So yeah, not a badge of shame, but a glorious symbol of national greatness. But that's not given that that's actually accurate. So I just wanted to say that for the record.
Absolutely. Thank you, Brother Moriama.
Woo, yes, we are the all. We are the creators of this universe, and it's ours, and we're going to keep it ours.
Yes, fam. Okay, let's keep it going. 8:30. Aim and object number 3. We got 9 more to get through. These are the original aims and objects. What was the original aim and object number 3? We only know the first 2.
To reclaim the fallen.
Thank you, Brother Art. To reclaim the fallen. Anybody want to help Brother Art expound upon reclaiming the fallen? What that means to us, how we explain that to our brothers and sisters in the communities?
to be the humanitarian, to we're saving a race that has been fallen because of neocolonialism.
Very well said, Sister Desiree. Very well said. It was something that you said early. I was going to respond to in what you just said. Anyone else? Oh yeah.
Yes, like falling from grace.
Yep. That's a bigger. We're getting ready when we touch on lesson 5. We'll talk a little bit more about how far we've fallen and how high we can rise. But Sister Desiree used the word humanitarian, and we should remember that pulled my memory back to our preamble. Social friendly, humanitarian, charitable, educational, constructive, institutional, and expansive society. So, yes, we have a humanitarian aspect in regards to reclaiming the I don't know if you want to say it, the minds of our people. But yes, thank you, Sister Desiree. Anyone else want to say anything on objective number 3, to reclaim the fallen?
Raise first.
Dr. Shams.
To reestablish the productivity and royalty of our noble past that we once had in Africa. Africa for the African, those at home and those abroad. Up your mighty race, you can accomplish what you will.
Yes, sir.
And we should also include economics in there. The importance of the economics, because that was a part of the fall, and then with funds being reiterated in other things like pagan holidays, getting involved in the corporation. And I think that is something else that when we do talk to brothers and sisters on the streets, we also need to talk about economics.
There's the economic aim and object that we will get to in the later section. Okay, we'll go to number 4. What is the 4th aim and object of the UNIA-ACL? We should be spitting these out, officers.
To administer to and assist the needy.
To administer to and assist the needy. How is that different from reclaiming the fallen?
When reclaiming the fallen, I think it's more going back to our roots of origin before we were brought into slavery and all the other abuse that we've gone through.
Very well said. I think the time frame of the goal, from the way I look at 3 and 4, it relates to those two. So number 3 is the long-term fall of the African, and number 4 I look at as more of the immediate condition of our people. Number 4 is to assist the needy. That can, anything that our people need in these times. I believe in the text, Mr. Garvey says to provide assistance to those that are genuinely in need is, I'm paraphrasing, one of the highest honors that we should have as a race. So assisting our people, being there to provide for the needs of our people, whether food, clothing, shelter. Obviously, those would be the fundamental needs. Questions, comments on number 4?
Yeah, that's what we're supposed to do. And see, with those, even if we have to come out of pocket, but yeah, we're supposed to do that, every day. I think that's just supposed to be something every day that can be done. I mean, even if you see, one of the things is if you see a brother or sister, of course, practice proper etiquette. I don't care, what status they're in. I think that it should be an acknowledgement. You speak, and then, just if a brother and sister ask you, they say they're hungry, even if you don't want to give them the cash, you can turn around and say, hey, I'll take you somewhere so you can get something to eat or whatever, if you can afford it. But as we have our buildings and our organizations, that's something that has to be implemented. They have somewhere they can always go to get a good meal and some clothing, whatever. And I can show brothers and sisters how we can do that. We can write letters to these corporations because it is a tax write-off, and when certain things happen, they will donate shoes and everything else free.
Thanks, Sister Desiree. And yes, Sister Cecily, I see yeah. Later in the lessons, I believe it's Winning Mankind by Kindness, Mr. Garvey speaks on charity and the importance of charity. But yes, we should always understand charity begins first at home, and we should, if there's any help that we can provide to humanity, that help should first go to our race. Okay. Toxic charity. What in the world? Never heard of that. What is?
It's a book. We should read it.
Oh, interesting. Okay. What is aim and object number 5? What is
it? It says that because Africa is the natural home of the race, we should all put our hearts, mind, and soul towards the development and progress of Africa, just like, other races put their heart, mind, and soul to Indians, to India, Chinese to China, etc. We should do the same for our rich, beautiful continent of Africa.
Absolutely, Sister Diane. I see you got straight into the context, but what is the aim and object stated? What is it stated as?
To assess and civilize the backward tribes of Africa.
Yes, absolutely. And as you said, as the text, I believe, speaks about Africa being the vine and fig tree of our people, natural homeland is where we came from. We should all understand in the vision and the aims of the UNIA, our goal is to establish a headquarters on the continent of Africa. That's the most suitable natural location for a headquarters of our people would be in a motherland. So in the quest for that, in the process of achieving that, of creating that, we will need to we've argued with the term civilizing the backwards tribes. I don't want to get into semantics, but the general sentiment is we must make sure Africa is the strongest nation in the planet. It has infrastructure, it has plumbing, sewage, everything that a modern and a future society would need, and that is our job, is to help to bring Africa as a continent globally, not globally, but as a continent wholly into the 21st century and beyond.
Yeah. So I don't have a problem with that, but I think that has to be balanced out because we have to deal with what's going over here in the Americas, and this is our country. Anthony Broader talks about that very extensively. This is our country. That American flag is our flag as well. And we have plumbing issues going on right here. We had brothers and sisters in West Virginia that could not get any type of water. And one of the things, there was a black-owned company that had a solar company that showed them how they could get fresh water from solar panels. You have sisters and brothers. There you go, Flint, Michigan as well. You had brothers and sisters in Louisiana. They don't, when the water comes out, and this is also has happened in Georgia as well. When the water comes out, it's brown, it's this and that. I know that we have to get our brothers and sisters in the motherland situated, but in actuality, they got a lot more going on in the motherland. They got more millionaires, that's Black millionaires and billionaires in the motherland than we have here in the Americas. And I think, I'm going to constantly push that. I have to take care of my home first before I go abroad.
I understand, Sister Desiree. We went through aim and object number 4, assist the needy. That was no particular location. So that would be in our immediate communities, we assist the needy. But we must also have a dual focus and understand the long-term goal, the long-term vision is a strong motherland. There's no other way to say that, but and also in the Declaration of Rights of Negro Peoples of the World, we also claim dual citizenship, and we respect dual citizenship. So I am and many of us are citizens of the United States, but we also consider ourselves citizens of the Universal Negro Improvement Association. So we are dual.
It's not choosing one. It's not choosing one over the other. It is embracing Africa as the base for everything. Just like the Chinese people, They have citizenship in America, but they don't forget about China.
Yep. Yeah.
I'm not saying forget about it. I'm just saying that even with Anthony Broder, he shows you that right here in Washington D. Well, I'm not in Washington D.C. any longer, but
right.
They right there, Washington D.C. They took and put that together, and that came from the motherland.
Right.
I was saying that it should be balanced. We should have both Maine here in the Americas and as well as Maine over there in Maxim. Yeah.
Washington on the Potomac.
Yep.
Raise
Yes.
facts.
Dr. Shams?
Yes, I wouldn't consider myself a citizen of the U.S. I would consider myself an oppressed resident of the U.S.
I'm a citizen. I'm not oppressed. Okay, our ancestors.
They forced their citizenship upon us, and we vehemently accept it. Like that's all there is to it. We don't consider ourselves oppressed people here, oppressed residents, and not U.S. citizens. But I'm a citizen of my own self-government, Sham's government, and the UNIA, and the Moorish American government, and the Nation of Islam, and in the WAPIC government, and so forth and so on. I have so many affiliations, it's ridiculous. But I'm an oppressed resident of the U.S. I don't consider myself a citizen. And if you want to look at it that way, I would consider myself a forced person to be a citizen. Raised first.
Well, we're not a forced person to be a citizen. We are forced to be under the doctrine of their government, because you have to understand the United States government. There was dynasties that was already formed, even dealing with the indigenous here in the Americas way before they even had a United States government, and that United States government came through neo-colonialism. So we are the original Americans that was already here on the land. They just turned around with their wars and their colonialism, turned around and formulated their government. So we're not oppressed. It's just we have to go through another war.
Thank you, Sister Desiree. Again, what we teach in the UNIA is voluntary participation. So if someone does not wish to be a citizen of a certain demographic or group, we do encourage them to relinquish that citizenship. But Mr. Garvey does also say that we have the right to respect individuals' citizenship as well, as long as it doesn't conflict with the UNIA. So we can kind of treat citizenship like religion. You know, you can keep it personal. You don't have to share it with everybody if you don't want to.
And then on top of that, we have this thing in our head about the motherland. Let me tell you something. The motherland is not all what it's cracked up to be. They was over there taking the clitoris out of women. And these were not Caucasoids that was doing this, not Anamites. You see what I'm saying? That was doing this.
Mhm.
So you got within the motherland, because you have to understand that's the largest continent that's there, and they have done wrong things to their people over there as well. It's like they getting into all that Christianity stuff, and they got the girl laying down, and the pastor got to wash between her legs in front of a congregation. So everything or whatever they doing is not all 100% collective, and they over there robbing their own people as well. Okay. So the motherland is not what it's all cracked up to be. I know that's the foundation of, because our ancestors did travel. They had family over here, family over there, and we did. The original Shang dynasty that comes out of China, they're actually black. All right. We're the original Irish. We're the original Russians. We're the original everything like that. But, the motherland, yeah, but it's not all that's what's cracked up to be.
Understand that's why we have to improve and help the motherland. That is what we just discussed in objective number 5. Okay, let's keep it moving. Objective number 6, aim and object number 6. What else should we be doing as officers, leaders in this organization, the UNIA? What are we trying to accomplish?
Well, is education on there?
It's not number 6.
Oh, it's not number 6. How do you guys find this? Where? Because I'm looking through my books. Okay, so that must be coming from the book that somebody stole from me. Yeah. Okay.
This is lesson 3 of Message to the People course of African philosophy. It's coming straight from the text. We read this. We read it last week, and now exactly what we read is where the answers are coming from. Objective number 6.
That's independent Negro nations.
Independent Negro nations, first vice president. What does that mean?
Well, to develop independent Negro nations.
Raise first.
1 second, Dr. Shams. Hold on. Brother Mason, we'll leave it there.
Yes. Well, we have to, of course, at the time of this, there was only one nation that was there. I think was Ethiopia.
Okay.
And the rest of the nations were colonized. So it's our goal to develop independent nations of our own. And yeah.
Wait a minute. When was Liberia? We got 1822 for Liberia.
Maybe it was Liberia.
But Haiti, because Haiti was free, Liberia was free, and then Ethiopia was never conquered. But I think we were the third established independent nation outside of Ethiopia, obviously. But yeah, it is kind of interesting because we didn't have a lot of nations back then, and now we do. Anyone else want to give their opinion on objective number 6?
Raise first.
Dr. Shams.
First.
Yes, Dr. Shams.
Independence, freedom, justice, equality, economy, and equal rights, civil rights, human rights. Peace and race first.
Race first. Thank you, Dr. Shams.
Also, how about segregation? You know what I mean? To separate ourselves.
Actually, Does someone have their text open? Because Mr. Garvey actually uses separation in the explanation of this aim and object. So he says that we must separate ourselves amongst communities, and that way we empower ourselves. Because when we mix ourselves in the communities, we kind of dilute our political power. But if somebody's got their book open and can read the aim and object number 6 for us.
It
I'll
says,
read it. Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead, sister.
Okay. To assist in the development of independent Negro nations and communities. The Negro should develop every section of the communities in which he lives that is his, so that he may control that section or part of that community. He should segregate himself residentially in that community so as to have political power, economic power, and social power in that community. If he scatters himself, one second, guys. I lost my place, sorry.
Okay.
If he scatters himself about the community, or if other people live in the community, he will be scattering his power and dividing it up with other people. If there are 10,000 Negroes in a town, they should live close to each other. If there are 500, 1,000, or 1 million in a town, they will have the power of their numbers to do business, to appeal to the governor, and to voice their rights as citizens. In this respect, segregation is good.
Yep.
To do otherwise is bad.
Thank you, Sister Cecily. So, yeah, we are segregating ourselves for the purpose of establishing, I guess you could say, small nations, small communities, but communities that we control, communities that have, Black mayors, Black city officials, so forth and so on. But
we came pretty close with the Black Wall Streets that were destroyed. We just have to build it again with, a different mindset. But we came pretty close with these thriving communities that were destroyed.
Well, we're still doing pretty well today. Does anyone know the blackest city in the United States right now?
Right
Atlanta?
now?
Yeah.
I don't know. Chicago?
Atlanta.
I don't know if it's still this one, but it was very recently.
North Carolina.
Hold on.
Chocolate City.
Yeah, right. Washington, D.C. has been gentrified. But anyway, no, it used to be a chocolate city. Not anymore. Trust us, sister.
I'm trying to
Raise first, Oklahoma.
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma?
Okay. All right, let me
Wall Street.
hold on.
And Oklahoma was a Black Wall Street. They took it from our people.
No, we're talking about the blackest city in America today.
Yeah, he's talking about the blackest city in America today. I think it's North Carolina.
North Carolina's a state. I'm talking about a city.
Charlotte.
It may be Charlotte. South Fulton.
Philadelphia?
If someone can give me the demographics of Philadelphia, South Fulton, which is the sister city of Atlanta, has a 92% African American population. At this time, Georgia, South Fulton, Georgia, blackest city in America, is right next door. So we are
Atlanta.
We are doing this. This is why I've tried to bring have a connection with South Fulton. Everyone that came to Garvey Day 2023 had an opportunity to meet Mayor Khaled. But we don't have to always reach back to the past and have it romanticize the past. We really need to wake up. We talk about being woke, but it's almost as if we don't realize what's right in front of us and the opportunities that we have today. So, I'm pretty sure South Fulton is if not the blackest, it's one of the blackest cities in the country. But that's something that we can, we have a easy opportunity to help develop, protect, grow, expand, and all that good stuff. Questions, comments before we proceed?
Yeah, I wanted to make a comment.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I like the way Mr. Garvey worded that, the development independent Negro nations, as opposed to, and let me clarify, the nation is different from country. A nation is a group of people versus the actual government or country, which is another construct. But nations include communities, cities, townships, etc. So wherever we are, we should form invariably an Africa town or independent group of systems that govern our affairs politically, economically, socially, that we regulate. But the development of independent Negro nations is opposed to other groups that are kind of more, particularly dealing with Africa, that are more continentalist, like the Nkrumahs and some other folks who, um, when they say African, they mean white folks in Africa, Arab folks in Africa, and every other person in Africa. Is not exclusively a race-based nation. Yeah. But when Mr. Garvey talks about us being separate so that we can pool and regulate our own, resources and produce things that we consume and all this sort of thing, it's about developing exclusive power that we own and control. And so, we don't want to be segregated in the sense that we're allowing others to determine where we can go and where we can't go. But separation is where we determine for ourselves, what we're going to do and not do, and where we're going to congregate ourselves and build our own independence versus having them tell us, where we can eat, not eat, and all this sort of stuff. But yeah, definitely, it's going to take some degree of separation to be independent communities. And once these independent communities come together and work with, our motherland, where we establish that super state that's strong enough to lend support to people of African descent all over the world, then we got action. And then we really living the dream of Mr. Garvey, or the vision, fulfilling the vision. True Negro nationalism.
Yep. Yeah, and that goes, and thank you for that, Brother Maury. Brought me back to number one, universal confraternity. We're trying to, as Mr. Garvey said, the greatest weapon used against our people, the Negro, is disorganization. So our goal is just to organize our people all throughout the world, create these communities, create these nations, and then link these nations to larger groups and larger bodies. But the entire African community should be connected and should be working together. That's the goal of the UNIA. That's what we're trying to achieve.
Well, a long time ago, it was the Green Book that was written. I think that's something else we can look into, about putting another Green Book out, a more updated version, just alone to support Black-owned businesses. And it's not about somebody telling you where you can't eat or whatever. Who really cares? The point is, why do you want to go eat at a restaurant that is not Black-owned? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And so when you do have these little communities, because brothers and sisters, they have their swag with it. They have, we have our etiquette, our class. If you want to go to something really nice and fancy, why not spend your money with a Black-owned restaurant? And I think that developing these communities or whatever. So I'm not saying, somebody telling you where to go eat and sit. Why you want to go eat and sit with them in the first place? When you have your brothers and sisters right here, that's going to treat you like family, is going to show you love, can be, it can be classy, or maybe you go to someone that is not like the 5-star. You just might want to just walk in there, grab a meal, and walk out, or a mom and pops, or whatever. But why do you want to go somewhere that you're not even appreciating in the first place, giving them jokers generational wealth, when that wealth needs to stay in our community? So to H with them, if they don't want you to sit in a restaurant, so what? I don't want to be here in the first place, and I should have never stopped.
You saying you don't want to go to the toilet with white folks, Sister Desiree?
Hell no. I go to my own toilet. Did you know them jokers don't clean? They don't do nothing. They sit up there and they piss on the toilet. I'm not just talking about men. I'm talking about women. When you go to the job, the women's restroom is nastier than the men's restroom. How do I know? Because sometimes if the guy's not there to clean, I go in the men's restroom. And these are what? Your Caucasoids? Why you want? They sit around, they don't wash their hands. You can sit at work, right? And watch the people go to the bathroom. Just observation. Just see how many people actually wash their hands. How you think hepatitis come out here and everything else? We didn't have all these diseases and everything else until we start mixing with them Annamites, Caucasoids, troglodytes. They the one that brought the fungus and disease. That's why Yahshua had to save them from everything it was doing. Right? Come on now. They the one that had a disease, and you want to go eat in a restaurant? Let me tell you what they do in a restaurant. They did a whole documentary on it. Sometimes if you say the wrong thing or they don't like the color of your skin after you done paid $500 to eat here, and those restaurants exist because when my husband was alive, we went to a couple of them. Supposed to be 5-star. They don't even give you any food. Really, I think it's all for show. In actuality, they will drop your food on the ground, stomp on it or whatever, and put it on your plate. Ain't no brother and sister gonna do that because it's inhumane altogether in their DNA. Why you want to go to their restaurants? Why you want to go in their clubs? Why you want to support their businesses? For what?
Yes, Sister Desiree, we have to organize that, but you know that goes into the universal confraternity. There is some more aims and objects. One will speak directly to economics, but at the end of the day, we have to organize. So our people are not going to organize themselves. There must be some individuals in a position of leadership that takes the responsibility to organize our people, and that's what we are trying to do here in the UNIA Individual 421. Okay. All right, we gotta keep going. It's 9 o'clock. We ain't gotten through the aims and objects. What's aim and object number 7?
To establish commissaries and agencies in the principal countries and cities of the world for the representation and protection of all Negroes, irrespective of nationality.
Yes, so I think you commission. Wait, it's not. What's that C word? Is it commissary? Commissioners?
No, not commissary. That's a military thing. I was thinking about the commissary. All right, commissionaries.
Okay, commissioners. And ambassadors, I know, is in there as well. Anybody know what that means? How do we explain that in layman's terms? Street terms?
Wherever our people are, they got to be able to connect to whatever resources we offer. So we need people there to help connect them to what we offer.
That's one aspect, but there's a higher aspect to this.
We are like ambassadors for our areas, our cities.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Huh?
Dr. Sham's trying to get in.
Oh, okay.
Raise first. Commissionary means to be assigned a responsibility, a duty,
yes, sir.
An office.
Yep. Sister Desiree, ambassadors, commissioners.
Ambassadors. So that means, I guess, that goes back to the Green Book again. Like when brothers and sisters come in town, you know, we're supposed to greet them. You know what I mean?
Well, hold on. Let me add a little bit. So again, going back to number 1, universal confraternity. When you look at the Constitution of the UNIA, one of the first sections that's brought up is jurisdiction. And you'll see that the jurisdiction of the UNIA extends all throughout the world. In the explanation of object in aim number 7, it talked about the I think you used the word representation and protection. So these ambassadors are supposed to be the quote unquote leaders of the region to make sure that all Africans in that region are their rights are being respected, they're being provided for, they're not being mistreated or abused, and that usually rolls up to leadership, like executive officers of your division. But that's what, in a sense, each of our divisions represents is an embassy, is a place of refuge for Africans or Negroes here in this land that may feel, abused or mistreated by the ruling society, and that applies all throughout the world. So even if we got some Africans in China, there should be a division, essentially an embassy, where the representatives or where our brothers and sisters are in China are being represented and being protected. So that's what that speaks to. We must have representatives and protectors of our people in each of our communities, and again, leadership. That's talking to us, so we shouldn't be looking to others to represent us and to protect us. We should be the ones looking to represent and protect our people. Questions, comments on number 7?
That's right. I agree with that. We should. And again, we should be the resource, and that's again going back to the fact that how we need our own buildings or whatever, so we can have the resources in there, and we can utilize the students that are in the universities. You know what I mean? To come help with that, give legal aid, or we can figure out how we can do whatever. That's why we need both commercial and residential property.
Understand. But yes, every city, every division should have a Liberty Hall, and as we'll learn in later lessons, we should also have a charitable fund. So that's our responsibility as a leadership. That's something that we're working on with the rental of spaces, but we really need to be able to answer the question of maintaining a facility 24/7, 365.
Also with that, because we're in 2024, I think that one of the things that I'm going to implement when I do get my building is that I think that we should have like brothers and sisters on post, like you said, 24/7, and have like a hotline, like say that a brother or sister, they can call in the number if they going through something stressful or whatever is going on. Not only we can help with the mental illness, or say that we have to go to a location, we can be on call at that time, and somebody say, hey, we need to get over here, blah, 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 because sister so-and-so is going through this, brother so-and-so is going that. And we can kind of like infiltrate. And how it's legal is because the police department turn around and have allowed social workers to also walk along with the police officers, right, when they have an experience. And I think with them being a part of the UNIA, we can also be the mediation when something is actually going down, and we can turn around and say, hey, because we are certified, because we are qualified, even with the Black nurses and everything like that, just allow us to take the brother and sister with us instead of going into your system. And of course, it's going to take negotiation and talking, but by us knowing everything that Marcus Garvey is teaching us, we can actually utilize that and put it in fruition when a brother or sister is in distress, just alone dealing with the police department.
Yes, yeah. We will have relationships with city government, police, fire department, healthcare, psychological services. We will have partnerships with them, and Mr. Garvey promotes that. But first and foremost, we must learn to be self-reliant. We must learn to rely and depend upon ourselves first, and be stable in that before we, become dependent upon a relationship. So um, that's what we must first push is to be able to provide those things for ourselves. Okay. Aiming object number 8. We got 3 left. Wait, 8, 9, 10, 11. We got
You
12.
got Mr. Brandon up there has his hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry. Brandon? Brother Brandon? I didn't see that.
Hey, yeah, hey, how you doing? Race first. What's
Yes, sir.
happening? I'm loving this conversation, no doubt. I just want to say two things. One, well, 2 questions. One, let's see if I can remember the second one. Are we gonna operate in secret, or is it gonna be wide open?
Wide open, not in secret. We truth.
Desiree, 1 second.
Yeah, I know we true, but
hold on. Brother Brandon, slow down. What do you mean? Like in what context? Some things are public, some things are private.
Right. Okay, so it's like a balance type of thing.
Diplomacy. We got to know when to be public and when to be private.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I can dig it. And it's just so much, to do. It's so much that needs to be done and established to make this happen. And I don't know how y'all feel, but I'm so passionate about it. I just really want to get the ball rolling, but I know it's going to take time. And there's so many first steps. I don't know where to start.
Hold on, Mama Mina. 1 second.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Brother Brandon.
No, you good, love. No, it's so much. I really don't even know where to start. I know this is where we're starting right now, just talking about it, because you don't get anything accomplished without a thought first.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we're thinking about it and we're discussing it, and now we're about to write it down and put it into action. That's true. I just want to know what you feel like will be our first step, into really getting this ball rolling outside of this course, outside of studying Garvey, our first initial step.
Race first.
First initial step is self. That's the first step, is self.
Race first. Race first.
Because you can't help nobody before you help yourself,
That's
right?
It starts with you first. You have to, put yourself, and you got to be confident within yourself. You got to be confident in what you're talking about. You got to have that passion. It got to come from your heart. You got to be, you can't waver. You know what I'm saying? So the first thing is where you begin at with self. Self-preservation is number 1. That's number 1.
Raise first.
Dr. Shams, I hear you.
I see the first step as being setting up an economic base like what I have on my websites that's in the chat. I put a lot of information in the chat, but the first step is setting up an economic base and being able to pay for your citizenship and moving forward with activities of the government. Peace and race first. I said, I put all that there. I offered all that there on my websites, and I put it in the chat. So check it out and go ahead and proceed. Peace and race first.
I'm gonna copy them links in the chat and save them and everything, and I'm gonna check that out later too, because y'all know, I'm fresh out and everything, but I really am driven, really am establishing myself, and I'm gonna start my business. So like you said, economics it has to be established. So I'm starting my business. Yeah, it's for me and my own generational wealth, but it's also for my race and my race's generational wealth. My whole thing is creating an avenue for my race to flourish. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'll get there definitely, and I really look to all of you for guidance in the future and to help follow through with this goal of mine. So I'm gonna continue to be in contact, definitely. You know what I mean?
Raise first. Without economics, you can't even survive. You can't do nothing without economics. That's why
Right.
economics is the first step, and that's what I'm offering on my websites. Check it out.
Okay.
It's in the chat already.
Well, in
Yes,
my
sir.
opinion, I deal more
What's
with like spirituality because yeah, economics is a very imperative. But if you do not have yourself in check, even when you have the economics, are you gonna do what's right and just? Is your character gonna stay the same? You see what I'm saying? Or can
I can
somebody
dig
give
it.
you $30,000 in cash and you turn around and you sell your soul? And you forget about everything else, you know what I'm saying? Because some people haven't seen that much money at one point. Or, you know, the thing is how you cannot allow yourself to be compromised, whether it's
Right.
financial or anything else. Of course, economics is first. And how, well, that's to me, it's second. Because first is you, self-preservation. You have to make sure that you are in check, your character is in check, and everything else, and your morals, your values, your integrity is in check, and it cannot be wavered. Because you're gonna,
Right.
you know, us being a UNIA, we're gonna be around a lot of people, especially being in the community. And if yes, they're gonna see if you are really true or not, and they're gonna test you. Trust me, they're gonna
Well,
test you.
well,
And
ain't he? Ain't he?
test you, they're gonna try to
Ain't
set you up.
That's ain't he? That's right.
Mhm.
I understand exactly where you come from. I swear I do. I get it. But I am a little different when it comes to the moral structure and the guidelines. I'm a bit flux when it comes to stuff because I know you're gonna be dealing with so many people, so many different personalities, so many different perspectives.
Mhm.
And I can flex and flux and deal with different people different ways, no matter how they come, no matter what they believe in. It's not that I don't care, but like I'm not gonna sit there and like just be tripping on your lower moral value or your higher moral value. But I understand that somebody does need to be there and how you say monitoring people's moral levels like you, because you really be on point with that stuff. So when it comes to the organization, I do understand someone like you being in that lane, making sure that others are staying in theirs, you know what I'm saying, in their correct moral lane. As for me, just know that I do care about my race and I will keep my race first. You know what I'm saying? I will communicate. So I make sure I don't mess up or I don't like step out the lane, but my like I just believe in different things, you know what I mean, than the next man. You know, so it can go either way. I understand that you could utilize anybody for the betterment of our race. Like how me and brother President John was talking about the what you call them, the NFAC individuals and how they don't really line up with completely with what we uh believe in. But that doesn't mean that they can't be utilized in our black government.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. But
just
just to
for
answer,
example,
Brother Brandon, just to answer your question, because I do want to
we
proceed.
got to move on.
Yeah, just to
Yeah.
answer your question as succinctly as possible, trying to be in line with the teachings and the course. We are the Universal Negro Improvement Association. So I would look at it as the simpler way I can explain is in the three-step process. That's,
If I can,
hold on, Brother Moy, my internet is acting up. Can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me good?
Nah,
No.
yeah. Say it. Can you repeat that?
Okay. I'm going to try to state this as simply as I can in a three-step process to answer your question as far as what we should be doing right now in the near future. We are the Universal
Okay.
Negro Improvement Association, and I think your answer
Mhm.
is in the name. As Sister Desiree said, you would start with yourself. She mentioned
Right.
preservation, improvement as well, developing ourselves. You can't help anybody until you help yourself.
So, right.
Is your community, those around you, family, friends, whatever your home base is, or whatever wherever you're located right now. Find like-minded individuals. Iron sharpens iron, so it's only going to be so much development that you can do on your own, you'll have to, it's just like sparring. There's only so
Right.
much you can learn in shadow boxing. You're gonna have to get in the ring with others to truly develop yourself.
No doubt.
And then once you master your immediate community, number three, take the show on the road. Now you have become proficient at developing people and developing communities. So it should be an aspect of everywhere that you go. You improve the community, and you basically essentially organize, become a better organizer, and everywhere you go, you begin to organize those pieces.
Right. Okay, bet. Start here.
And
Start
also,
small.
I want
Build
to
yourself
say
up.
that you don't have to, that's a decision you have to make for yourself. I am a Bay. That's something I decided on my own, but I'm also Kemetic. I'm also within the UNIA. I'm also a member of, the Black Panther Party. You have to make the decision that's actually going to be conducive for you. You don't have to pay hundreds of dollars or have an ID unless that's what you say you want to use, because even Noble Duality said that even if you get that ID, you're not supposed to be flashing it. That's something that's supposed to be for you, for yourself, just
Right.
for understanding for you, not necessarily having an ID and you walk around, oh, I'm in the Morris Island Temple, I can do this, blah, blah, blah. No, we are people of peace, love, truth, freedom, and justice. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So you have to
Exactly.
do what everything is going to do with you. If you keep everything within your heart, then it's going to stay there, that the heart chakra. But you have to understand that the UNIA is the grandfather of society, right? So
Right.
you're in the right foundation, just being a part of the UNIA to go off from the get-go, and then whatever else or whatever, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, you're the all. We go back to the 5% nation. We the gods in the earths walking. We the gods. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah. 7 in the crescent. Yeah, no
All right,
doubt.
we need to keep going. We were on number 8. What is aiming object number 8?
All right, peace and love.
Thank you, Brother Brandon.
To promote conscientious spiritual worship among the native tribes of Africa. To promote conscientious spiritual worship among the native tribes of Africa.
Thank you, Sister Desiree. Are there any officers that can help break that down as to what that means? How we explain that?
Well, me, I would say that one of the greatest tools that helps create division is the different ideologies that we have to fight each other over.
Mm-hmm.
And that's was one of the tools that was left behind for us to be able to fight over these different ideologies. In recognition of that, I believe that that's where this aim was created from. Realizing that if we are fighting over ideologies, that it will help slow down the point of organizing, which should be our main focus. So we have to come up with one conscientious worship, and we are able to remove all of the fights of what's the right way or the wrong way, and understand that our focus on race first and coming together to build for each other should be our first aim of worship.
Yep.
The goal that's ahead of us.
Absolutely. Our first religion should be race first. And if we all have that as a foundation, as I said, I forgot what else we were speaking about, but your religion can be in your back pocket. What you know, what you worship, what you call your God, that's none of my business. If you're race first, if you're fighting for race first, if we both agree to that as the priority, then I think we can work together. And a good way that I've summarized this to my memory, or committed to memory, is to think about, you know, there's a difference between being unified and being organized. Being unified is just everybody together, but that don't mean that you're all on the same page. Organized is everybody on the same page. So when we do come together, when that day does come where, all Africans, hypothetically, are in the same room, will religion become an issue? Will religion cause us to separate and walk out, or start fighting inside the house? So we must have something. Well, Mr. Garvey kind of promotes I would argue, a new religion, or a new way of thinking of religion, but we can't let religion separate the race at the end of the day. Any questions, comments?
So, and that's absolutely right. Now, we have to understand that all these religions, especially if you don't go all the way back to Kemet, all these religions are man-made, and it actually began with the ego. Even when you go into the churches, I don't know if anybody looks at National Geographic, up the Vatican, dealing with the Methodist Church or whatever, when it goes down, Methodist, Catholic, Protestant, all them, they had kings and stuff, right? But none of those kings are black. You know what I'm saying? They are not. And then, when it was the church, before there was a Black Panther Party, anything like that, you had the Black Church. The Black Church, and this was before they was they decided to sell them souls and become mega churches and to the Vatican. They were the revolutionaries. They were the one that carried their guns. You know what I'm saying? And made sure that brothers and sisters was taken care of. And yeah, we cannot allow religion to be a part, but we can support the religions of, well, I wouldn't say a religion, I would say way of life of our ancestors. They knew what they were doing way back then.
Which is why, for when we celebrate Kwanzaa, the first principle is what? Unity. Unity in the family, unity in the community, unity in the nation, and unity in the race. So we strove to, and we do now today, to strive for that kind of unity amongst ourselves as people, Black people.
Well, being I have all you guys on the call because, I'm over here in California. And
I was born in California.
With all
raised in LA.
I was thinking about, just for Kwanzaa going to DC because, just to do it, because here in California, the brothers and sisters have a problem with Kwanzaa. Now, I was talking to them yesterday.
Let me tell you, I was in LA. We celebrate Kwanzaa every year in LA. That's why they had a Kwanzaa parade up and down Crenshaw Avenue.
Sisters,
we have brothers and sisters, Simbas, and older people.
No, I'm not
celebrating Kwanzaa in Los Angeles. I was in LA. I know.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about what the Black Panther, the original Black Panther was talking about.
There was a bunch of nationalists back in the day. The Panther Party was one of them. People call themselves revolutionary nationalists, spiritual nationalists, all different type of nationalists. That's what came out of the Black Power movement of the 1960s and 70s.
Anyway, the thing is that what we're missing about Kwanzaa, I'm not even talking about Karinga, is that those principles need to be celebrated. The principles, right? And that's what I was explaining to them yesterday. Is that if I do something here, my main focus is not worrying about all that other stuff. And this is coming down from the UNIA, and they was like, "Oh, so you guys going to go out with UNIA?" And then they were open to it. Oh, as long as they're doing it and not someone else. Anyway, so you can already know, and you already can feel that brothers and sisters know what the UNIA is, right? And that's something to be proud of, because when you go out there and talk to people in the communities, and when you talk to brothers and sisters and they own organizations, because there's a lot of them out there, right? And when you say UNIA, they say, okay, yeah, we'll do that. I'm willing to do that because you're saying that you're doing Kwanzaa through the UNIA, right? And they understand that because we are a part of the UNIA, that we are neutral, right? We don't discriminate. We don't care if you're a Hebrew Israelite, as far as I know. We don't care if you're a Moorish Science Temple. We don't care if you in the Black Panther Party, original Black Panther Party, whatever. At the bottom line, what matters to us in the UNIA is what? Race first.
Absolutely. I'd like to get back to the teachings of Mr. Garvey. Let's proceed to object number 9.
All right, to establish universities, college, academics, and schools for the racial education and culture of of the people. I said our people, of the.
Thank you, Sister Desiree. Need an officer to help break that down, what that means to us today. How do we explain that to the community? Brother Mason, you good. Brother Mason, you good. You got the last one. Someone else. We got any other officers that can articulate the teachings of Mr. Garvey? This is what it takes to organize, to build, to grow membership. We must be able to articulate these teachings. Is education important? First,
what is education is number one.
That's why I'm speaking to the officers at this time. You're doing a great job, but I do need my officers to know this to the point where they can explain it to a new member. Okay, 421, we got some work to do. We don't know our aims and objects.
Hey, we gotta play a song. Wake up, everybody, no more sleeping in bed.
Brother Mason,
play that song, President John. I can play it on my thing. Maybe that will be inspiration, sound of vibration.
No, thank you, Sister Desiree. Brother Mason, could you help out our officers, please?
Well, we have to understand the importance of education. We could get caught up in believing that other people's education is okay for us, but we have to have an education system that reminds us of our past, our lineage, our canonizing our own saints, and that's specific to our racial uplift, and not be okay with just accepting that of other races.
Absolutely. Thank you, First Vice President. But yes, officers, and new officers, obviously, y'all still learning. Older officers, if we can't articulate these things, how are we going to grow? How are we going to, as Sister Desiree just said, everyone knows about the UNIA, but the officers can't articulate the aims and objects. I would say that people really don't know about the UNIA. We think we know about the UNIA, but we don't know about, as Mr. Garvey said, the real UNIA. All right. Number 9, schools and education. I would think that would have had a little more excitement behind it. The importance of education. Everyone stresses economy, but we don't stress education as much as we stress economy, which is a very strange place to be as a Black person. But because honestly, Mr. Garvey says there is no economy without education. He actually says that. One second. He actually says that's why we fail in business is due to a lack of knowledge. But we continue to go around these fundamental concepts such as education. Dr. Shams, go ahead.
We must obtain and seek out all forms of intellectual knowledge, learning, and education as far as establishing each department that we need within our systems of government. Peace and race first, and for our race in particular, and solely race first.
Yep, absolutely. That is how we, when we talk about training and development and the responsibilities of our office, education. That we're talking about education. When we talk about developing the community, providing programs for the community, that's education. So we, I'm not
Exactly.
I'm
And
not
education is the key factor. And I'm gonna go with I'm gonna do both. I'm gonna agree with Booker T. Washington, and I'm also gonna agree with W.E. Du Bois, right? So it's good, yeah, to get that degree, but it's also good to get a trade. And one of the things that we need to push is also trades, because some brothers and sisters may not want to sit there and go through class or whatever, but I suggest we do both. Take your time, even if you have any, problems or whatever. But we have to support our HBCUs. And Howard University is not a real, it's an HBCU, but it's not a real HBCU. Anyway, if they were, they would change their name from Howard, that white general, and actually give it a real name, but that's neither here nor there. I went to a real HBCU, okay?
I'm doing both right now. I'm learning a trade, but like when I get into this apprenticeship program, they're gonna educate me first.
Learning a trade is a component of education. I don't know why we're trying to break this down as if they're two different things. Okay. All right, we got two more left, and then we still got some more questions. It's taking us
trade and education.
I would say that learning a trade is a component of education. You're being educated on a trade.
Right, exactly.
Right, because people, they put down, like, when I have my CDL, so people think that I haven't went to school. Okay, do you know all the laws out there on the street? That's still a school too. That's a trade, and I can make more money with my CDLs than you can coming out straight out of college trying to get somewhere, unless you one of them tech people. But you know what I'm saying? So I think it's like it's hand in hand. You know what I'm saying?
You still make more than tech folks. My little brother worked for NASA. Got into
Sister Desiree.
Come
on, y'all. Aim and object number 10. It's taking us an hour and 40 minutes to do 9 aims and objects.
That's because we love each other.
Okay.
To conduct a worldwide commercial and industrial intercourse for the good of the people. Was to conduct a worldwide commercial and industrial intercourse for the good of the people.
Thank you, Sister Desiree. Do I have any officers besides Brother Macias that can help us explain that to a new member or a person in the community? Mm. 421, we don't know. We don't know aim and object number 10. Besides Brother Macias.
It talks about the economic life.
Right.
Yes. What about the economics? What is our goal? What is our aim and object in regards to economics?
The economic life of the Negro is important. We eat, we wear clothes, we live in homes. So these are essential things. So we ought to get these things. If we're going to get these things, we must work with our heads and our hands and our brain. And so basically, the economic system, according to this here, says that lays down the fact that commerce and industry are the feeding factors in the economic life. So therefore, it's absolutely necessary that we build an economic structure sufficiently strong enough to feed the arteries of our existence. So we should indulge in every kind of business that is necessary to earn profit, because it is by profit that we will be able to obtain life necessities for ourselves and our race.
And can we paraphrase that in our own words?
I will paraphrase.
When it comes to food, clothing, shelter, and security, we are to be the ones who provide that, not only because they are necessities, but also because they can employ, or if we, it's a source of employment for us.
Yes, yes. Basically, are there things that Black people create?
What have we not created? Okay, so we
Desiree,
can go.
Desiree, just yes would suffice.
Well, you have to go in depth, because even with the yes, you would have to understand that, again, it's a reflection of you, the DNA that goes inside of you. We have created everything on this planet. They have not created anything that was less than something destructive. So I think with that, just like the KKK say, hey, we ain't coming out in the hoods no more. We're going to come out in suits. And you have to turn around and say, hey, this is what I have to do, my clothing or whatever. So I think a part of economics is going to the point that we have to turn around and make our own clothing, which we have done that already, as long as we support Black-owned businesses, but to the point that we can actually put ourselves in that framework. So let me tell you something. If I go out here and I walk and I wear my fatigues and my boots, right, and my my beret, you know what I'm saying? Because I do it a different kind of way. So, and if I go talk to a business, they automatically gonna be reluctant to actually speak to me when I'm trying to do some kind of economic things going on. But if I come there in a suit, in a dress suit, and I'm coming there talking to you from businesswoman to businessman or businesswoman that I have to talk to. And I think with that, it's wearing our various of coats that we have to wear, you know what I'm saying, but still having our race first. And that goes back into the education, that goes back into the fraternity, that goes back into the spirit of pride and love, reclaiming the fallen, assisting the needy, the civilization and the independence, becoming them ambassadors. Because when we go out here, especially when we're conducting business, we got to walk it like we talk it. You know what I'm saying? And we might need to put a suit on that day, or the next day we might need to put that uniform on and put them boots on.
Yes. Like it's just Desiree. At the end of the day, there are things that Black people are producing every day. And there are things that Black people are consuming and utilizing every day. But what is missing is the organization and the network of those two things. We have other races and nations that have become middlemen in the African economy. So we as Africans, we will sell to other races, and then we as Africans, we will buy some of those same things that were sold by Africans. We will buy them from other races. Our goal is to eliminate the middleman and make that connection direct, so that the things that we need for ourselves and for our society are produced by ourselves and by our society, and we have those direct connections. And that's a global endeavor, not just a local endeavor. So, global economy. Last aim and object was number 11.
To work for better conditions in all Negro communities.
What does that mean to you, Dr. Kuda?
As we try to start up our own businesses, building factories, and ensuring that the people working in those factories are well cared for, healthcare wise, and the working conditions are conducive taking into consideration that you have a family back home that you need to bring up. So unlike, overworking people as slaves, but ensure that, that people are having better working conditions that protect you, the individual, in that factory that maybe that you are working in, and maybe being able to set or lay out policies and procedures, for working to ensure that better conditions in Negro communities are to improve the conditions of lives. If you're working in a good environment and you got good policies at your workplace, when you get back to your community at home, your living situation is also good. Like for instance, what bothers me about the situation that I've noticed here in America is the issue of how people live in a building. I think it's called the projects, and that kind of bothers me that you'll find a family of maybe 5 or 6 people living in a condition that is not conducive for that family. Like for instance, when I was doing my IT training, the girl who was sitting right next to me, I think she was Puerto Rican, but obviously classified as non-white. And she was telling me she can't study when she gets back home because of, the noise. And in her bedroom, the bedroom she sleeps with a grandmother and so and so. So we need to work to better the conditions in all the Negro communities so they live better lives in order to become better people in what we do.
Great example. Great explanation, Dr. Kuda. Only caveat I would say is not limited to just working conditions. In the text, Mr. Garvey says, "There's always work to be done in this endeavor. Leave no stone unturned." But basically, the way I remember this one, this is all encompassing. Work for better conditions. That means anything, whether it's charity, working conditions, education, political rights, just general comfort of a person's home, children's education and supplies for school, whatever it may be. Anything that's not listed in the 10 aims and objects that are for the benefit of our race is captured in aim and object number 11. So there's, as Mr. Garvey said, we should always be busy. There's always work to be done. And, anything that we can think of that's not in the first 10 that's for the benefit of the African race is captured in number 11.
Yeah, and also, as far as working conditions now, again, we're going to go back because that our objective is to have our own. So with us having our own, and brothers and sisters work for us, our companies and stuff like that, we don't have to worry about, how they're being treated with the troglodyte. And again, by members, because, you work outside of having your own. Our goal, it should be a goal, is that you own your own, have your own, your workers are, brothers and sisters, or however, whatever. But if you have a brother and sister that, they working for a company or however, whatever, again, that should be known. They are a member of the UNIA. And then even if they try to demand you to be a part of that union, you are already in the UNIA. And I think with that, we trump that all the way together. So we already gonna know, because we're gonna work with truth and everything else. And it's gonna go to the part, we have to let brothers and sisters know that too. That, hey, we're coming up there, and whatever union or whatever you got, because that is, I showed some of the operators here. They did some of my advice on, they can't protest. You don't have to protest. Just shut the lines down and just don't move the bus all together. And we have to let brothers and sisters know we are here, and everything that's going to be done, it can be done legally, right? And that business or whatever can be shut down if they're practicing anything that's unethical.
Yes, thank you, Sister Desiree. We are very behind on time. This first slide is only supposed to take us 20 minutes at the most. We've taken almost 2 hours on that first slide. We still have.
Man, that's crazy.
I need my officers to step up. Brother Mason's doing a good job.
Right. It's beautiful, right? Look, all this time passed, and it's just love everywhere. I feel the love.
Desiree.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
This is not the only thing that the officers have to do. We have other responsibilities outside of this 2-hour meeting. Okay, let's try to run through these questions as quickly as we can. Officers, I'm leaning on y'all, but we will take as much time as we need. Where should the funds of the UNIA be directed, and who owns the funds of the UNIA?
For the race.
For the race?
The race. Yes. Should be directed for the upliftment and development of the race.
Okay. Who owns
and they should be held an asset for the race owner.
I believe the word's in trust, but yes.
Yes.
And I believe it's the funds should be directed towards the aims. But basically you're right. You're not wrong. But the book just said it lists the aims and objects, and then after it lists the aims and objects, it says that the funds for the organization should be directed in those channels. So what we just mentioned, the 11 aims and objects, that's where the funds of the UNIA-ACL should be directed. And this text also says the funds of the UNIA must be used for the race and only the race. And later it talks about the ownership, but thank you, Brother Macy's. Who owns the funds and the property of the organization according to the message to the people? And I think we just answered this. Yeah, we did.
Yeah. Held in trust for the Negro race.
Held in trust for the race, perpetual existence. It says ownership is future generations. So, yeah. Questions, comments on who should own the funds and properties of the organization as taught by Right Excellent Marcus Mosiah Garvey. Okay, beautiful. Everybody clear. I like it when it's clear. What must the culmination of all the efforts of the UNIA be? What must be the culmination of all the efforts of the UNIA? What is our ultimate goal?
One aim, one destiny, one God.
What is that one aim?
Negro independence, nationalism on the continent of Africa.
Absolutely. Independent Negro nationalism on the continent of Africa. Everything must contribute to the final objective. So Mr. Garvey says that this is the ultimate. When we say one aim, well, I'm not going to necessarily say that, but in the text, Mr. Garvey says that this is the ultimate objective: independent Negro nationalism, independent Negro nation on the continent of Africa. Questions, comments?
Powerful nation for the Negro race.
Absolutely. Okay, next question 4. What is required for a nation to be free, and what is our only protection according to the teachings of Mr. Garvey? What is required for a nation to be free?
A strong nation of its own, with its own system of government.
Yep. Its own system.
And its own order of society.
Mr. Garvey says a strong nation of its own system of government, its own order of society. The only protection is to have your own government. Any questions, comments? So we should be clear on what we are trying to achieve. We should be aligned with what we are trying to achieve. This is lesson 3. Talked about intelligence, which is very general. Leadership, very general. That can be, anybody could teach that in any meeting of any business, not necessarily, or it could be applied. But aims and objects, very specific. This is fundamental directly for the UNIA leadership. Number 5, what should we do while we are under alien governments?
Still do what we have to do.
Yes. Yep, you're right. But something specific, but you're in line with Mr. Garvey.
We gotta take everything we can while we there too.
Pretty much. Take advantage of the governments. Get the best out of them as the rights of citizenship. So again, some may claim citizenship, some may not claim citizenship. But for those of us that do, that wish to claim citizenship, we must understand the rights that come with that. And we must pursue those rights that come with that. Get the best out of them as the rights of citizenship, but always have in view something to make it possible for your race to have a nation and government of its own. So don't get lost and don't get, disillusioned by the rights of citizenship. They may be nice, they may be,
complacent.
We get complacent and forget to develop something for yourself. So we must always have the vision for independent nationhood. Questions, comments? 3 more questions. Okay. 6.
Let's go.
Will conditions be better for the Negro race if another race gains power globally? So if there's no longer white supremacy and now it's Asian supremacy or Indian supremacy, will conditions be better for the Negro race?
Yes.
No.
If any leadership piece should depend on another race's leadership that will enslave you, we only can depend on our own self. We can't depend on somebody else to overthrow them and think that they're gonna have our best interest at heart.
No, but see, this is the thing that I have a conflict right here. So it says, will conditions be better for Negro race if another race gains power globally?
Yeah.
But we already, we're in that war, we've been in that war, whatever, but you have to still go back to what Marcus Garvey said about us having our own. So regardless of whatever they trying to do, we're still supposed to stay focused on what we are doing, and that's how we advance ourselves. Because even with that, that's still not our thing unless we're gonna actually physically go to war. Now, when we are having our own and everything else, they stay over there and we over here. And if we have to go to war, we'll be prepared to war to kill them where they need to go underground, or put them in that casket, right? But we still need to focus on what we have to do for our people, and it's gonna go like that. The United States government is in debt with China. How much money? All this stuff is going on, whatever, and we still got to keep pushing on. So when it says that, in my opinion, will conditions be better for the Negro race? When has our positions not been any different than that? We're focusing on the wrong things. We have to focus on us, our family, and what we have to do for ourselves as brothers and sisters. And yes, they will get better, because by the time they do that, we're going to be stronger, and stronger. And it will be a time that the only race is going to take over is our race.
Yes, and that's exactly what Mr. Garvey is saying. We should not depend on any other leadership except for our own leadership. That's all he's saying. Okay, number 7. What is the highest expression of independence?
Race first.
According to Mr. Garvey, yes, Dr. Shams.
Self-determination.
Self-determination, what does that look like?
Self-reliance.
Self-reliance, what does that look like?
Independence. Freedom. No more plantation.
Doing for self, having for self, and owning for self.
What does that look like
Yep.
on a large
Thinking
Self-government.
for
scale?
self.
What does that look like on a large scale?
Heaven.
Officer, if you don't know, please just let the officers answer it. Anybody know the answer?
Was it self-government?
I believe it's like nationhood or something.
Yeah, something like that.
The highest expression of independence is in the sovereignty of a nation, is what Mr. Garvey says. So yeah, self-reliance, independence, yes, but sovereignty of a nation is what we are striving to achieve. Questions, comments?
Raise first.
Heaven.
Raise first. But I have my own self-government, which is in website, which is a sovereign defense website, and it has all the laws there that make us sovereign, and it's sovereign in more than one way. It's sovereign in every way. Peace and race first. It's in the chat. Check it out. Peace and race first.
Thank you, Dr. Shams.
And then we also have to be mindful of how we utilize that word sovereign, especially dealing with the United States government, because automatically, if it's not explained properly, that's why it's imperative for us to be very well educated, very well articulate, and very well to know what we're talking about when we're speaking. And I think Marcus Garvey talked about, if you don't know anything about a subject, then it's best for you not to say anything, right? Yes. So the thing is that because the United States government is labeling sovereignty as like terrorism, and that is because of the
raise first. That's sovereignty that ignores the laws of the main state. If you are truly sovereign within the realms of the United States, then you don't override their laws. You work with them and you recognize that they are the main state, and you by law, by international and sovereign law, are to work with and cooperate with the main state as much as possible. Peace and race first.
Okay. All right. Let's just mix. Briefly, just a Google search on sovereignty. Sovereignty is defined as supreme power or authority, the authority of a state to govern itself or another state, a self-governing state. So self-governance is what we are pursuing and what we will achieve. We're not claiming sovereignty in the confines of the United States, but we are pursuing our sovereignty. Questions, comments on this? Okay. All right. All right. Last question. Brother Macias, you've done a great job. Don't please. What emblem signifies the existence of a nation besides Brother Macias?
A flag.
A flag, yeah.
Red, black, and green, baby.
So, yeah, basically, we have a nation. Mr. Garvey established that nation in 1920. We are in pursuit of sovereignty of that nation. We are not a sovereign nation. That's something that we still need to achieve, but we do have a flag, and we are in that pursuit for our nation. Any questions, comments on lesson 3? And we will not have time. Go ahead, Dr. Sham.
Raise first. I disagree with you. I would say we are sovereign, but we are sovereign within the realms of international law. International law says you must recognize, have recognition of the main state and cooperate and work with the main state as much as possible. And therefore, by laws of the international community, you can and are sovereign, can be and are sovereign. Race first.
Wait, but Dr. Shams, the concept of complying with the main state seems to be contradictory to sovereignty.
Well, I don't think what Dr. Shams is saying.
No,
like
no. Look,
like
read international law. Read the preface, or the introduction to the international law. It's all broken down right there. They don't leave nothing out. They allow you to be sovereign, but they have boundary. They allow you to be sovereign within sense and within reason. You can't be sovereign and disrupt the main state. You cannot be sovereign and be disruptive against the main state. You must recognize and maintain as much cooperation with the main state as much as possible, but recognize you have your own laws, your own boundaries, your own rules, regulations, what have you, and therefore you are and can be sovereign.
Well, I think it's the point.
One second. Let me ask the question. So a sovereign citizen would still have to comply to the law?
No, it's not a compliance.
Yes, that's why the United States says people are not sovereign, because you get into sovereignty and think you can violate the laws of the main state. That's tyranny. That's a war. That's terrorism. And when you violate or go against the recognition and cooperation of the main state, you have to cooperate and recognize.
Wait, Belinda's on there. Belinda Brown, yeah.
Work with the main state as much as possible.
I hear you, Dr. Shams. Sister Belinda, you got your hand up.
I want to say something.
Race first.
You know,
I think that this is a very, very important question. I guess I don't know if it's a question, but to try to get the clarity or the understanding, because of there have been some really, really bad experiences with people trying to claim their sovereignty. And they wind up, going to prison because they don't really know how to. I think somebody said it earlier, if you really don't understand and how to articulate yourself or be able to respond properly in the courts, they don't recognize you, and then they you wind up getting charged with tyranny or something like that. I have seen it happen over and over again where they don't recognize people's sovereignty because they really don't understand it and they don't know how to respond properly, especially in the courts.
I want to add some clarity too.
Brother Mason, let me just say something really quick, and then you got it. I just want to make it clear, 421 does not claim to be sovereign. Brother Mason, go ahead.
Right, and I just want to make it clear as well that if we read the text, it says the highest expression of this independence is in the sovereignty of a nation. We can get confused in our conversation in talking about the sovereignty of an individual. But what we're talking about is and what Garvey is talking about is for us to gain a sovereignty as a nation collectively.
Yeah.
Now, there are different ways where each individual can claim to be a sovereign citizen. Like Brother Shams continually says, he's his own self-government. And that's different from what Garvey is trying to establish. He is trying to establish a jurisdiction that will represent all Black people collectively. And that is what he means by a sovereign nation.
Yes.
Ladies first, can I defend myself?
I appreciate you
to defend Dr. Shams.
Okay.
I don't think it was an attack.
The defense is this. Under international law, you have the right to claim a nation for yourself. You have the right to change that nation at any time without it being abrogated or arbitrarily denied you.
But again, going back to yourself. We're talking about.
Let him finish.
It's nationality we're talking about. It's an international law. You need to read and understand the law. We can't just think up stuff and think we know it. It is written, it's in writing, and I have it in writing on my site. That's why I set myself up as being a sovereign defense website. because I have the laws. I know the laws. You have the right to choose a nationality for yourself, and no one can deny you the changing of your nationality at any time if you so choose. That's international law, article number 1. But read the preface before that. You must cooperate with the main state as much as possible. People go off the wall and are not recognized as sovereign when they do things that they feel they have the right to do, going against the main state or not recognizing the laws of the main state, which is in error. That is wrong. You must recognize the laws of the main state and cooperate with the laws of the main state under your sovereignty as much as is possible, and you can be recognized as an sovereign state. But you must realize where you are and who you are around, and cooperate with the people who are next door to you. Like you have your own sovereignty within your own apartment. You can do whatever you want within your own apartment, but you must recognize that you're living around other people and they have rights and must be respected as well. So therefore, you do not do things. You do not violate the sovereignty or the lack of cooperation with your neighbors. You must cooperate and work with your neighbors or the main state as much as is possible. It is written in the law. Go and read the law. It's in my website, Peace and Race First.
And there's nothing about not cooperating with whatever, because we have been infiltrated. That's the bottom line. We have been infiltrated. But the sovereignty of us as a nation is totally different from the sovereignty you have for yourself. Of course, yeah, because we have been compromised, we do have to follow laws. You can't drive the car drinking a beer. You know what I mean? You can't go down there and just sit up there like they did on that video. Sit up there and say, "Hey, you got to get out this house because this is owned by my ancestors or however, whatever." No, we do have to follow these laws. Laws has always been around, even since the beginning of time. How you think you got the 42 laws of Ma'at? If you go to the Dungeon Tribe, you got over 936 laws that we are actually supposed to be following through every day of just being moral and humane altogether. But as we come together as a people and we generate our own schools, our own hospitals, our own whatever, we do not fall under that. That's why it's imperative that brothers and sisters know when you in a try-up situation or however, whatever, first of all, why are you arguing with this alien? They're the aliens. We're not the aliens.
It's not a matter of invention. It's a matter of education. It's not a matter of invention. It's a matter of education. Go and read the document. It's there. It's in writing. It's in writing, black and white. Black and white.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Shams. Brother Mario Mile, you've been patient.
Well, just like they got the blue code laws, the black code laws, the black code laws, and everything else.
Brother,
let me say a word or two about that. Try not to belabor some of the points. Everybody actually made some decent points, but I don't think everybody's listening to one another properly. But that remind me of the old scenario that Farrakhan talked about, where 3 children were arguing what makes 10, 4 plus 6, 5 plus 5, or 7 plus 3, and everybody was arguing over it. But anyway, yes, there are certain laws governing the establishment of micronations, and there are certain prerequisites needed in order to establish one. And you can have a degree of sovereignty as having an embassy in another person's country, as brother was talking about, as long as you comply with the laws of the land. So there is a degree of sovereignty, but you don't have sovereign control over the land. You have a degree of diplomatic status that you can argue, or a certain amount of a degree of independence. You can incorporate within a country and have a degree of independence in an incorporated community. You can have your own mayor, your own blah, 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 create your own laws. Certain things, there are levels and degrees of independence and sovereignty. But most people talk about sovereignty, they talk about having the final say or the last word over what happens in a given area. So if you have sovereignty over a land base, is a little different from having a sovereign provisional or a provisional government that claims sovereignty. But you go into a sovereign nation and claim that you have sovereignty over some of their land, then that's sedition, and you're gonna get locked up and thrown in jail for it. So it's about being particular about how you express those understandings of law and diplomacy and all these sorts of things. I know a lot of people, we want that, we desire a certain sovereignty over our affairs. And our mission initially when we were colonized and under subjugation from Europe was to go to Africa and reclaim what we had stolen from us and reclaim that and become sovereign over that land. Since then, there's been some degrees of flag independence. There's been some degrees of sovereignty, some commonwealths, a whole lot of things that came up out of Africa. So Africa is not totally sovereign as it claims it is even today, because there's others who can impose their will upon it. But
That's right.
also, having the power of organization, coming together and, controlling the industry, controlling the commerce and all these things is what gives us that power. That's what makes us independent, makes us safe, and when we can produce everything that we consume. When we can actually, flip the whole world economy on its head by not giving any more raw materials from Africa, but giving final finished goods or products, et cetera. But that's the kind of true redemption Mr. Garvey was looking toward, a political, social, economic system where we govern and regulate everything of our own. We had this empire that has enough influence that we can have, sovereignty, an extent of sovereignty in different nations across the globe, because they know if they mess with one of us, they mess with all of us. So it's
Race first. Let me explain one basic principle. I'm in agreement with you, brother. I agree with you. But what you must understand is by the United Nations itself, there is no sole sovereign government upon the face of the planet. All sovereign governments must recognize and cooperate with the sovereignties of all other governments. That's international law. That is written in black and white. You don't believe me? Go to my website. Go to my website and check it out. Read it for yourself.
This is
It
where
is
my
in black and white.
Well,
this is where
black and white.
The United States government, is that actually sovereign? Because my thing is, being a part of the United States government, is that not
it's sovereign by agreement of each and every state. Each and every state has its own individual sovereignty as long as they collectively agree. The United States itself is sovereign. That's why you have state law and federal law.
It's a contradiction, but who turns around and make these federal laws, and how are they doing whatever? So is there a type of sovereignty that goes beyond the things that our ancestors created, that the United States government itself created its own sovereignty on our backs? But anyway, can we get to Belinda?
Mr. Belinda, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I had my hand up, but I just feel like this is very convoluted, and it's just not clear to me. I would like to be able to understand it better, but it seems like to me that we're talking about 2 or 3 different things. And I'm not sure what we're supposed to be getting out of this particular question. I just want to be able to stick to the lesson, because I know how confusing, like I'm a part of a Native American family. My Native family do have their own nation, and they have it set up and run by the and governed by the council. But they still are obligated to abide by the United States statutory and regulatory laws.
Read the preamble of the United
So-
Nations.
So I just want to know, what are we talking about when it says, what is the highest expression of independence? The highest expression of the independent is
Cooperative sovereignty.
the sovereignty of
Cooperative sovereignty.
Dr. Shams, do you have your text?
Do I have my text? Everything I have is on my website.
So you have Mr. Garvey's explanation of a sovereign nation?
No, I don't.
Okay. Please allow us to elaborate and answer her questions clearly. She's looking for explicit context. Sister Belinda, as briefly as I can say it, we are seeking a sovereign nation with geographical boundaries. That we
Okay.
control. How big that is doesn't really matter. Where it is, we would like for it to be in Africa, but we are looking for geographical boundaries that we have sovereignty over, and no one can tell us what to do in that land. And you know, the only alternative to sovereignty is war. A sovereign nation, Ukraine can be considered a sovereign nation, but that's not stopping Russia from going in there with guns and bombs. So you'll know, when you're sovereign based on what it takes to defend those geographical boundaries.
Raise first. There's a document known
I
as the Vienna Convention. The Vienna Convention deal with differences pertaining to nations as far as sovereignty. When sovereign nations have conflicts, they come under the Vienna Convention. That is also on my website. Go there and read everything in black. You cannot argue with black and white.
Dr. Shams,
Dr. Shams, let's finish talking.
Go ahead.
Okay, I just put a link in the chat, and it's the garveynation.com. I'm really wanting to get clarity, because this means a lot to me. I have a lot of people, especially young people, that are trying to understand this better, because they want to be able to have that type of freedom and liberation to understand that, this is a fact, that they can, be independent in the sense of not having to be dealing with a lot of de facto laws in these courts that we deal with all the time. So I've been doing a lot of research, and one of the things that I have looked at online, there is a Garvey Nation where they have the Buy Black movement. I don't know if you guys heard of them. The Buy Black movement.
Yes, we have.
Okay, where they have set up, and I've been going through this website to look at what their objectives is in regards to becoming a citizen, and how they're setting it up online, where they're building a nation. So I don't know how feasible that is, but I'm very interested in learning as much as I can. And if that's something that we're talking about with the UNIA, is how we're going, put a face on that and what that looks like for us as well. So that's what I'm trying to get as much clarity, because I want to start directing a lot of young Black Africans that are really looking to have this type of freedom and independence of being able to, express themselves in a way where they have more control over their lives, and not this, not this system this United States government that have been, colonized, that's, I'm trying to say it in a way where.
Yes, yes, that's why they had an international court also under the realm of the United Nations. And when nations disagree as far as sovereignty or treaties or anything else like that is concerned, they come under a document called the Vienna Convention. It's all on my website. I have the same element, the same link you're talking about, Garvey Nation. I have it on the top of my website as well, on any page, other website you want to go to. Peace and race first.
Well, one of the things I want to make up as a comment,
One second.
Marcus Garvey said,
yeah, I want to say this then, Brother John. Because, all of our life we've been told that we have the right to citizenship, but we know that we're not treated as equal citizens as Black people here
lawsuit
in the United States.
Mhm.
So,
Dred Scott case. You are not the white man. A black man has no rights that a white man is bound to respect. You are not a recognized.
well, that's
You
what
are
they say, but that's not actually true
the
in
United
writing.
States.
Dr. Shams, can you allow the sister to get her question out? Sister Belinda.
yeah, that's very important because see, if the young generation that's coming now, is not going to fall for the fact that we're treated, as citizens. It's like the truth. It's like the cat is out the bag. That they know for a fact that we as Black people here in America they never intended for us to be citizens. So, I just want to get as much clarity and understanding as I possibly can so that I can kind of like stir them. I wish, maybe eventually that they would be a part of meetings like this, Brother John, because this is very, I'm just sitting here listening. It's a lot of, really hot topic discussions and conversations that we really need to have as Black people. Thank you.
Yes. But yes, just to be clear, Sister Belinda, again, our goal, as directed by Mr. Garvey, is a independent sovereign nation with geographical boundaries, and it will most likely, we're most likely on the continent of Africa. That is our goal. That is our vision of what we consider a sovereign nation.
Sounds good. Let me ask you something, question, Brother John, because I still believe in the duality. And the thing is we need to have an in the motherland as well as here in the Americas. But Belinda, let me ask you a question. Is there, you have a center down there, you have property down there. Is there any way that you can get the children that you're talking about or the youngsters that you're talking about, and they can actually be in there, and we can do maybe a Zoom link, or maybe you can have President John on there while they're sitting there and they can ask questions and talk about that? Is there any way that you can maybe do that for maybe a day or something like that outside of everything else, or having these meetings and have the children that you're working with down in Louisiana, that they can actually be, and you have the computer sitting there, and they can actually be one-on-one with President John or Kumo, or some of the big people with the UNIA out of Atlanta?
Well, yes, to answer your question is that as a former educator, especially here in Louisiana, we have just a mirage of universities here, Xavier, Dillard's University. And then my oldest daughter, she's a school teacher. I also have some family members that own their own charter schools. So I'm just, what's important to me right now is that, I understand and have the clarity that I need in order to bring anyone to a meeting and discussion in regards to this. And I don't want to see what's happening here tonight, where we're talking about 2 or 3 different things. I just, I know we have to stick on topic.
Yes.
Because what's important to me is that, we be able to explain and get a clear understanding of what it is that we're talking about when we start talking about independency and then the sovereignty of a nation or an individual.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, and thank you, Sister Belinda. And yes, you're correct, and I understand your sentiment. This year we kind of opened up the officers training to newer officers and aspiring officers. So there's a little bit more representation than usual. However, as always, the direction, the principles, the programs, anything official in regards to UNIA Division 421, that should come from our officers.
I just want to appreciate, Sister Desiree for answering that question, because I am very concerned about, organizing and mobilizing, galvanizing, and bringing the young people together to educate them, with this information, as well as, a lot of other stuff too. But right now, I know that this is a hot topic for us.
Raise first. Simple explanation. The Vienna Convention and the International Court are established and set up for disagreements and discrepancies as far as sovereignties are concerned. That is the purpose of the United Nations, to maintain respect among sovereignties. Peace and race first.
Dr. Shams, the UNIA predates the Vienna Convention.
Exactly.
It was the League of Nations at that time.
But the thing is, we're going into the educational point, and Belinda, you know what I'm saying, because you're working with the youth there, and that's also something I want to do here when I get my building here in San Francisco. And if they have any questions, the UNIA, I'm not saying invite me on there, because these brothers and sisters got more expertise than I do. I'm just going by just education altogether on my own from reading and knowing who Marcus Garvey is. But the thing is that it would be good if you could set up like a room and have the youngsters that you're working with there, and you can set up a computer, maybe like have 2 or 3, and everybody be on the same link. And at that time, without you putting that much weight on you, you can have that then, and you can have the children, the young adults actually ask questions of presidents and other higher members of the UNIA, answer all the questions they have. I think that would be beautiful. And then if you want to, include the parents. And that will also begin a type of recruitment as well. I think that is an awesome thing. And I love what you're doing in Louisiana. Why not? Why not?
Brother, sister, we are an hour over. Brother Mason, I know you were trying to get in.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I know a lot of people focus on sovereignty as a method of defense, where they are seeking to avoid the jurisdiction of the current state that they're in. And because I heard that you spoke about a part about wanting to teach the young people in reference to when they're going to court and things like that. And you also said earlier that you also saw some people who were going to court and claim that their sovereignty and basically get snatched out of there, I guess. But looking at sovereignty as the method of defense is one way to look at it. But I think our focus in sovereignty is the ability to be able to create for ourselves. A lot of people a lot of people who I've seen as well who are looking at sovereignty only from the defense side aren't really focused on what it truly is. So I would just admonish some of those young people to look at it a little bit differently, not just from the angle of defense, removing themselves from a jurisdiction. Where, because the jurisdiction, the word means the law that I say govern me. But they have to create a jurisdiction for themselves on that will help them avoid those systems. They have to create a way of life and how to live for themselves. And that be the tool that's going to keep them out of those systems. And because no matter what paperwork they do, to even if they get on a no stop search and detain list, the last test of sovereignty is always force. And if they create an act that goes against the laws of the land, no matter what, if they have that diplomatic immunity or on that no stop search and detain list, they still can get arrested, and people could still impede upon whatever the paperwork is. The same way President Johnson said they're doing Ukraine. Ukraine on paper is sovereign, but Russia don't care about it. At the end of the day, force is the last measure. So we must position ourselves to not be in position to where we could be attacked by the beast. And that's, I guess, more of an offensive approach by creating the life and society that we want to have for ourselves, regardless of waiting on a remedy from the system.
Raise first. That's why they set up the international court to settle discrepancies among sovereignties. There's also a document known as the averment of jurisdiction, where it is legal in the court system of the U.S. to have your case transferred from one court to another sovereign court of your own choosing by law, with that document challenging the jurisdiction of a particular court or state. Read Constitutional Amendment number 11.
And
Constitutional Amendment number 1.
The one thing that I would say
is, I'm not knocking anything that Dr. Shams is saying. Yeah, of course. You got all these documentations. You have all that stuff or whatever. But like Noble Drew Ali said, you're not supposed to be out there flashing your card or have whatever. If you do not know how to do that paperwork correctly, you will do more time in jail than somebody getting a basic charge.
The averment of jurisdiction document, you take it, you sign it, and you get it notarized. You get it notarized, you take it before the court, and it is recognized.
Properly, they will be in more trouble.
It's not an invention, it's an education. It is not an invention, it's an education.
Let me say this one thing. Let me say this one thing, Dr. Shams, to you and to the whole call, because I want us to all, at the end of the day, no matter what the paperwork is, no matter what the courts are set up, we are still waiting for a beast to honor whatever that paperwork is, whatever that setup is. Yes, even if it's done correctly. So I don't even want to get to the point of if it's you got to do it correctly. What I'm saying is, regardless of even if it's done correctly, we are still depending on outside person to honor whatever that is, the court, the ability to transfer jurisdictions, all of that has to be honored. And we should make sure that we don't position ourselves where the decision to honor it or not is in the hands of somebody else's. So we have to be offensive and protect ourselves in that way.
That is why. Wait, Mr. Desiree. That is why they have the document known as the Vienna Convention. It goes before the international court, and that's how discrepancies in the as far as any deviation, any argument against sovereignty or your right to have a sovereignty, it goes before the court, and it goes before international court, and when sovereignties disagree, it comes under the document known as the Vienna Convention.
And I'm gonna tell you right now that what's going on, people in the Moorish Science Temple are being targeted. They're being targeted because brothers and sisters in the Moorish Science Temple decided to take all that paperwork you did, and they out here doing adverse
No, they didn't do what I did because I disagree with them. They said relinquish your credentials. They said relinquish your credentials. I don't believe in relinquishing no credentials. I do not believe in relinquishing. I believe that's in black and white.
Not 1 minute.
Okay.
We still have like about 14 people on the call, and this is not
1 second.
I know, Brother John. Go ahead, Brother John.
Sister Desiree, Dr. Shams, this is y'all's final warning. Both of y'all have been extremely disruptive in the meeting. This is a leadership meeting for the UNIA. We must, again, I've said this before, we must have decorum. If we cannot have decorum, I will give you some decorum. And you don't want me to do that. So this is the last warning. Please do not overtalk each other, and please allow each other to speak. Sister Belinda, did you have a comment?
I just want to say revolutionary discipline is very it's very important, because this information, I don't know what it means to everybody else, but this is some critical information, and we just trying to, with everything that's happening in our country, we got to better understand what it is that we're doing, because it's obvious that a lot of the stuff that, have been happening in the past haven't worked, because we're still 150 years behind.
Well, I would say some of it hasn't worked and some of it we stopped working.
Okay, right. I agree.
But I understand what you're saying. Yes, you're not wrong.
Okay, I certainly agree. And see, that's why revolutionary discipline is very serious now. We have to, use that discipline so that we can move forward more expeditiously.
Yes. And for the most part, most individuals on the call have exhibited that very well. It's just unfortunate that I have a couple elders, honestly. I'm not even in my 40s yet, and I'm asking others to, older than me to, control yourself, keep yourself on mute.
It's all about passion.
1 second. The youth should not be asking elders to settle down. I just want to say that. But Sister Belinda, you're absolutely right. Revolutionary discipline, I think that's a great term that we need to be better about, exhibiting.
Wait a minute, you said I shouldn't be asking elders.
It's not a right or wrong. It's not a, excuse me, I'm sorry. It's not right or wrong. It's just that we just have to do it more, with more courtesy and discipline.
It's just decorum.
Mm-hmm.
It's that simple. We over.
I think that it's not so much about decorum. I think that the thing is, I'm from the North. Dr. Shams is from the North. I don't really know. Maybe it's a problem of the point that maybe you don't get, like, what I'm saying. Me and Dr. Shams ain't arguing with each other. We ain't fussing at each other. He's talking about his passion. I'm dealing my passion. I think that, once you hear that assertiveness, because I'm not saying nothing against the South, because we turned around and, in Philly, everywhere else, when brothers and sisters came up to the South, from the South, we greeted you very well. I think that you're missing our personalities altogether. Not that me and Dr. Shams is going against each other. I do believe in what Dr. Shams is talking about. And I believe in what I'm talking about as well. But I'm just seeing it from one perspective to another. He has not once said anything disrespectful to me. He hasn't said anything disrespectful to anybody on this panel, and neither have I. And we're not disrespecting each other. He's speaking his passion because that's what he believes in. So even when you're talking about being a part of the UNIA, you sit there and you said that brothers and sisters are going to be appreciated, or whatever. And just because maybe Dr. Shams said a couple of things I might have disagreed with, but that doesn't mean that me and him is at each other's throat or whatever. You got to understand, he got El Bay on there.
Wait a minute, Sister Desiree. You are absolutely right. I did not even take it that way. I just
we're from the north. We're from New
right,
York,
right, and that's
Philadelphia.
okay.
You don't operate, you don't talk like that. And then every time that I get enthusiastic, the first thing motherfuckers want to throw in my face if I'm using drugs. What are you talking about?
Desiree,
Why are you
Desiree,
not passionate about your people?
No,
your
we
Sister
don't feel
Desiree.
that way.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that you got to understand that I love all my brothers and sisters. And I'm just saying, I know that us being from the north, we kind of too assertive, or we talk however, whatever, or maybe our voice is a little rough, but we're not angry at each other. This is how we talk.
Sister Desiree, no one said that you're angry. It's just we have 14 people on the call. There were up to 18 people on the call at one time. Not everyone has had a chance to speak, and some people have dominated the conversation. That's the issue.
Okay, and I apologize if that's what happened, but that's just the passion. And of course, this is your platform. We have to be more respectful all together. But I don't know, when you start, if you grew up how I did, and then you see how whatever, and that passion drives me sometimes, and then that's why sometimes I cancel out and I don't even be bothered with nobody. You know what I'm saying? I'm tired of asking these questions and trying to figure out a solution when I go outside these doors and I see what's going on, my brothers and sisters, and you say nothing, right? Like that brother got killed on the subway in Brooklyn. Y'all standing around there, and the guy is choking him around his neck, and nobody jumped in? Nobody. So who's the coward? And then you want to sit around here, you want to blame the white man for every dollar tribe that has happened in this country, and that's some bullshit.
Okay.
When I sit over there and I tell you that flag, that red, white, and blue flag is our flag, it is our flag. That's our flag and everything else. The only reason why they got a United States government is because of neo-colonialism, because that does not even exist. And that's what we're going to tear down. And we do not have to be sovereign to do so. We can be who we are through our DNA, through our ancestors, through the UNIA and all our organizations, and take these motherfuckers down.
Sister Desiree, can I say this to you right now? Sister Desiree, if you were doing a speech right now, that would be just a phenomenal speech, and you would get my standing applause. But right now we're in a session that is a lesson, so we just want to use
You're right. I apologize.
Right. We want to use
I love you. I love you with all my heart. I respect you, sister. You right.
Right. So let us go on with the meeting so that if anybody else have any questions or concerns, they can have their voice heard. Thank you, Brother John.
Thank you, Sister Belinda. Again, we are officially an hour and 15 minutes over at this point. I don't have anything. We don't have time to read lesson 4. So lesson 4 will have to be read by each of you individually throughout the week, and we'll come back with questions for lesson 4 next week. I don't have anything. Anybody have anything in closing?
Yes. So one of the things Marcus Garvey has said, you experience racism because you depend on it. We got to stop depending on racism to make us feel like we worthy for the day, because we still sitting around here talking about the troglodyte and what color he dyed his hair, whether it was pink, blue, or silver. I don't give a damn. So the thing is, if the brother can tell me again that quote, it says, black skin is in the armor, but it said it's not a badge of shame, but a coat of armor. If I could get the straight quote, because I got to put that in my bookstore.
Brother Moriama, you got that off top?
Yeah, the black skin is not a badge of shame, but a glorious symbol of national greatness. Or it's a glorious symbol of national greatness.
Race first.
But again, that's not guaranteed to be Mr. Garvey's words. That's just
Well, it don't matter. It's our words, because who else who has the carbon and the melanin? It's us. So it's our words. You know what? Matter of fact, we won't give it to you, brother. It's your words.
I want you to call me, Sister Desiree. Call me. I want to invite you to come to a show.
Well, I'm already coming to Louisiana in April to help you about what's going on.
But no, this is the radio broadcast. I'm gonna invite you to be on there with me. Okay.
That'll be nice, Sister Belinda. Yeah.
Race first.
Race first, always.
Race
Dr.
first.
Shams?
Yes, sir. I just wanted to say that the way people go wrong as far as setting up their sovereignties is that they want to relinquish all the survival documents that are given to us, forced or otherwise, by the main state. They want to disregard those documents, break laws against the main state, when in actuality, under international law, you could be sovereign as long as you recognize and cooperate with the main state as much as possible. Peace and race first. And keep your survival documents. They're worth money.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Dr. Shams. Any other closing comments?
Well, yeah, everybody's talking about these reparations. One of the things that I want to say about reparations is that I'm telling you, brothers and sisters, do not sign the contract. Once you sign a contract, you have to understand that's a bonding contract. These jokers are sitting over there and say they're going to give you this and that and that. You have to understand that our ancestors turned around and created treaties. And they have not until this day honored any of the treaties that our ancestors have done. Okay? And then they're going to turn around and going to give you reparations. And then you got the black man sitting over there talking about he wanted to vote for Trump because of however, whatever. And the only thing they even have with that is just talking about, in my thing, regardless of whatever, because we was working with two demons. Both of them are demons, Kamala Harris and also Trump. But I didn't vote for the other brother that was coming out there. You know why? Because he likes to mess around with troglodytes. You know what I'm saying? We cannot have anybody in office that's turned around married to an Ananite, Caucasoid, troglodyte, or whatever they want to be. You know what I'm saying? The brothers and sisters, they sit around there and they want to put Obama on the throne. Of what? That pedophile? He's a predator too. See, all these jokers need to go down. That goes for Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, Crump, even though he's coming around, but he's only coming around for a money bag. You know what I'm saying? He does know his work, coming from that law firm out of Florida. And we need to utilize that too. We don't have to keep on asking these motherfuckers for reparations. They done did everything in and out to our people. They owe us money. That's the bottom line. And if we have to use Crump or whatever, so be it. You know what I'm saying? And the ancestors opened the way for us when Marcus Garvey's daughter started it. And all we got to do is keep on hitting these motherfuckers with lawsuits. I'm sure the FBI and the CIA, we already know what that motherfucker dress wearing. They got that his name on that FBI building. Do you know how they terrorize our ancestors? Calling them on the phone, doing whatever, and contributing and burning down houses. That's a lawsuit. We should also get on that bandwagon of suing the CIA and FBI for our ancestors all together. And it doesn't even matter. Guess what? If they were a member of the UNIA or the Black Coalitions or in the Black Panther Party, if you can show that in document they were a member, an active member, that is our case. That's our case. That is our case. Because they have documentation, or if they're in the Morris-Science Temple, there's documentation saying they were members, or in the NAACP. Because they are a member and we have our bylaws as being a member. That's like you being a Mason or Eastern Star. We have our bylaws. We have our Constitution right here. They was a member of the UNIA. And you guys owe money to the organization. Yes, you do. This is what you have done to our member. cause mental illness, things that's going on. What about our bylaws? We did not go over 11? That what we're supposed to do, is that not a lawsuit? Why can't we sue the FBI and the CIA? Why does it only have to be Malcolm X's daughter? Malcolm X's parents was a member of the UNIA. Don't they owe that? If they're gonna make some goddamn money, and I'm not saying nothing against Russia, shouldn't that money still come to the UNIA? Why not? And you know they did it. We know this. Edgar Hoover, gay ass in a dress.
Mr. Desiree, thank you. Dr. Shams, did you have your hand up?
Raise first. Our reparations can be gotten through either United Nations or through jobs and business opportunities that we set up on our own cooperative sovereignties for ourselves. Peace and raise first.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Shams. Okay. 10:56. It's been a long 3-hour meeting. And for the most part, we were focusing or trying to focus on lesson 3, the aims and objects of the UNIA. So that is the big takeaway for me. Biggest takeaway, this is just for me, but it has to be a desire for freedom. That's what we're looking for in our people. And Mr. Garvey say, what is required for a nation to be free? Strong nation of its own system of government, its own order of society. The only protection is to have your own government. So we must be seeking the responsibility of government if we truly wish to be free. That's the takeaway for tonight. With that, we'll close out. I'll close this out.
John, I have an announcement. I just put it in the chat. I'm inviting everybody to come to the WBAI 99.5 FM radio show on tomorrow night. I put the time and everything in there. Okay.
Oh, send it to me. Can I come on the radio show?
Yeah, this is the show I am inviting you on, that you can come on.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, put me on there. Let's make sure. Look,
give us all of your passion.
Celebrating ancestors and actually reading a poem. You know what I'm saying? And telling.
Call me, Desiree. Let us in the meeting.
All right, I'm gonna call you, Belinda. I'm gonna call you after we get over here. Yes, because I got some. This is our country, a song by the Impressions, way back in the day.
Thank you, Brother John.
So I'm gonna close this out. If everyone would come off mute, put your black fist in the air, repeat after me. One God.
One God.
One God.
One aim.
One aim.
One destiny.
One destiny.
Africa for the African.
Africa
for the African.
Those at home.
Those at home.
And those abroad.
And those
Up, you mighty race, you can accomplish what you will. I have my own self-government, Shams government. Peace and race